Hello, hello, and welcome to our weekly channeled messages. This one is being recorded on the 1010 portal energy. So we are focusing at around the 1010, but following it through. So as if we open up that portal door, we travel through and we go through the energy and we travel through to that little point. It's almost like it is the way I'm seeing it is I'm seeing this energy come through as we are looking like into the cylinder, into that sense of like the opposite end of a kaleidoscope. So it's not the piece that goes to the eye, the part that's at the end, and we're looking back through into the eye. So it's as if we are coming into the, I'm going to say it's like we're looking into the eye of God, consciousness, into the eye of God, whatever you want to call it, but into the eye. We're looking into that very core part of love, of unconditional love, of unconditioned truth, of the fact of that. And when I speak unconditioned truth, I mean like non manipulated truth, that this and that is true. There's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So everything that everyone is speaking, communicating, all has like a speck of truth or a larger level of truth, like a third, a quarter, a half, or three quarters, but nothing has full truth. And that's where we are. And so when we look into the eye of that unconditional love, that deepest compassion, kindness, is that it has a greater understanding for, or it has a greater appreciation for the fact that we all are not so open and understanding as what we often think we are, that we can use the language, we can speak that language, but it doesn't mean that's what we feel we are, that's what we think we are, as long as it's in alignment to the truth that we want to believe, or to the truth that we are speaking. And so often there's more to a story, there's a bigger perspective, there's a different view, and that's the energy that's coming through. And it's like when we look in with our rose colored glasses on, or when we look into with our colorful expression, our emotions, our thoughts, what we have been fed, our knowledge, our wisdom, what we have gained, what we've experienced, where we previously got it, how we got that information, where it all came from, is that we also have to remember that it's all infused with opinions. It's infused with the motive to be able to change minds or to be able to convince people. It also comes from somebody else's experiences and how they experienced it in somebody else's view, or in the fact that we may be seeing situations where we're looking at life. And when we look in at life, we're seeing, it's like based on numbers that it's overfull, based on, but there's a deeper truth, such as hospitals, such as establishments, such as a house or a building, a restaurant, anywhere that says, we're full to capacity, is that's a truth, full to capacity. Now there's more truth to it, is that the more truth goes, are we prepared for the capacity of a community? Are we prepared for a capacity of number? Can we match that? Can we make it greater? Can we make it bigger? Are we understaffed? Do we not have the technology? Do we not have this? Do we not have that? And so it's all not really fed on, the narrative and the one stories that we tell ourselves, or that we know of, means that it is part of a story, part of a truth. There's more to each and every truth. So when we look at it in a big scale, I always say there's a big scale picture. Now bring that into you before you become more judgmental. Where is that a truth within you that you can look at your narrative of your story on how you speak, how you communicate, how you treat everybody, how you treat your own life, how you look at your own life, where there is probably a 1/3, a quarter, a half, or 3/4, or, almost like right to that truth, but there may possibly be a little bit in there that is not full truth, or that it is a motive. There's some sort of manipulation of energy, truth, or stories that we're telling ourselves because it's serving something else for us. So it's either serving the fact that we love to get people roiled up because we get a thrill from it, we get all anxious, like it gets us to have some sort of like non-physical fight, and to be able to have an outlet for your energy, whatever it may be. What we're being told this week is to be very, very aware by looking in, instead of looking from the world that you exist in and look into the world, look into you. Look so deep inside of you that you can feel the compassion, the kindness. You can feel that tear fall from your eye, and you can have a sense of, what am I doing? What are we doing? Why am I doing this to myself? Why is this? Why am I allowing this? And what am I allowing happening to me? What am I allowing to happen within me? And where's my heart truth? And so there's an alignment that comes when we surrender over all that we are surrounding our lives in, which feels as if it is material things that are providing from the material world a sense of satisfaction, a sense of contentment with our stories, or feeding and fueling the fear within, or feeding the sense of feeling like we are rewarding ourselves as if we are accomplishing something, or that we are getting our, it's like we're rewarding our own bad behavior, or we're rewarding the fact of being a know-it-all, that stand-up citizen, and I'm doing all the right things and I'm telling everybody what to do with their lives. What is that, and how is it showing up in your life? And the card that came out and fell right into my lap out of this deck of cards, and this is the fairy deck, and this is an old deck of mine because it was back when Doreen was still in our circle. Speak about that sense of judgment and criticism. And no, I'm not talking about her being judgmental and criticizing. I'm reversing it here and saying, as much as that story comes from the other side, are we not also doing the same thing back? And we have to, so we can tell our story, we can tell our side of the story, but are we not doing everything we don't want done to us? So what you don't want done onto you, don't do onto another. Remember that, because you never know when you got to cross the bridge. You never know when you got to go back, and you never know when you have to come back in together. And that's kind of where we are in our lives and our energy. So we have the ego, we have the illusionist. And so we tell ourselves the story of being trapped in our, tell ourselves they're doing this or this is happening. But the illusionist also plays out very big in the ego story. It plays out very big in our lives, and we become a paradox to our own stories so often. And that means, we can say we're so kind, we're so good, we're so loving, we're so this, we're so that, we're so honest. The honest one is the one we're looking for right now. We're digging in the hook into honesty and saying, pull it up and look into the face of honesty, look into the face of truth. And, if we want people to be supportive of us, if we want people to trust us, then we have to be fully honest. And I think that's the problem that we see in the world. I feel like that's where it is that we are outright being boldly in one way or the other, whether it's media, whether it's institutions. They say one story and then they support another cause. The stories and the objectives, everything keeps changing. The narrative keeps changing to keep everybody playing a game and to keep people playing in their stories. Or, it's like, you look at, people that turn against each other and then all of a sudden they're on the same team. And it's like, we never seen that happen. You never seen that. You never heard me say that. And it's like, I would never tell a lie. I'm honest. Say, no, I'm not honest. I told that lie because I didn't know a different truth at the time. See the difference? I told that to be my truth because I didn't know a different truth at the time. Now I know a different truth. Now my objective, my story, my everything is changing. And I get that you might not fully believe me yet, but I'm going to work really hard to get you to see what I see that I could not see before. See the difference? So if we do that within ourselves, if we communicate that through within our own selves, Imagine how the world would look different, feel different, be different. Imagine how we would get things to be, in a different place, in a better place. And so feeding the light instead of fear, feeding the love, forever yearning. We have that full moon energy coming in, which we're not in full moon yet, but we have that full moon energy that's coming in where we just went through the new moon. We got another full week before that full moon energy or more. But it's that forever yearning. We're waiting for something. We're waiting for the light. We're waiting for the change. We're waiting for that so-called normal. We're waiting for that old. We're waiting for someone else to validate things for us. We're waiting for, we're waiting that proof, and that proof is in the pudding. And it's like, no, the proof is in our actions. The proof is in our choices. The proof is in our choices and decisions to become much more clear with our ability to communicate and our ability to understand honesty, and for the love of understanding that honesty has all different sides to it. And Rose is feed the light. And so I've written a whole book about Rose and the whole essence of Rose. And that book is not out yet, but it's, that disconnect, that disassociation. I told all these stories about Rose, and Rose did this and Rose did that, and Rose told me this and Rose told me that. And, all of it had a truth to it, but it's not Rose's truth. It's my truth that I couldn't connect to, or I didn't want to say because I had some sort of shame stories. So I give that another story. So I give that another name. So often when we lay something over onto somebody else, is that we don't want to have to face our own truth. We don't want to have to face those parts of us. So that the association and disassociation that we do means that often we are not very good at facing critical situations, or dealing with, or communicating, connecting. We're not very good at, commuting, connecting our emotions to a language that can be understood in a more neutral, grounded way. Is that when we shut down from emotions. And I spent a lifetime shutting myself down from my own emotions, spent a lifetime disconnecting myself. And it's funny because I was just in a group call that this was a conversation about, and it wasn't me that was being talked about, but a lot younger people than me talking about, that disconnect that they have with the not being able to communicate emotions, because if you've been suppressed, or you feel like you can't, or because you're only allowed to say a part of a truth. And so that's often a very common thing in our families, is that, or in society, it's like, don't say this happened, or don't speak this truth, or don't say this, don't say that, don't let that out, don't, so it's like, get all done now. Don't let anybody see that we have problems in our home. Don't let anybody see that this is not how things are going. Just tell the story, put on the face, put on the mask, and let the world believe this. And we take it to be a sense of, well, I'm still being honest. No, we're lying to ourselves and to everyone else. And the attitude shows. And it's hard for, after a while, it's hard for people to believe any truth that you have, because they're like, well, what is the real truth? And why is there such shame around letting people see our vulnerability, or saying, I didn't know about our human capacity to be able to understand each other's? Because we ultimately get like canceled, deleted, you get wiped out, you get like cleared out. It's not, we've dehumanized the human emotions as being not allowed to have, or we've taken away the value of honesty, and understanding that honesty has room for expansion and growth. It also has room to be wrong. And that's my biggest statement. This is what I'm believing, or this is where I'm connecting. This is what I feel, think, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong. And when you get in check with your emotions, and you get in check with you, it's amazing the things that start to change. And so the other card that we have coming out is I'm using two decks. I'm using mine. And so I have Feed the Light, which is Rose. That's coming out with the other card that I pulled was Forever Yearning. And this was Luna. And this was really turquoisey energy and the blue. So I'm linking my turquoisey really to the Kuan Yin, and I'm linking it to that Kuan Yin, that divine, soft mother energy of being present to help our hearts heal, to help our ability to communicate, to be able to connect. And as we're in right now, a time when that veil is thinning, very much thinner, because it's in that October month. And when we can connect to spirit in a, bit much easier than probably before, but it's never really difficult to connect to spirit. The difficult comes in our ability to move beyond our lower vibrating energy, our emotional connection to our human, and not really recognizing that the same spirit that's out there is the same spirit that exists within you, and that you are spirit. You're a spiritual being having that human experience. So if you're forever yearning for that connection, for that come together, that kumbaya of a connection to make, to get to know, what do I do? What's the truth? What is that you're never really, that was never really broken. It's never really that weak. And so I kind of, I struggle a little bit with the veil story, because spirit walks among us and there's spirit everywhere and it's all around us. And we're just walking with spirit all the time. And so it's your emotions and your old programming and what you've been told that holds you, because you were told probably that the spirit is not real, or it's evil, or it's bad, or da da da. See, another half-assed truth. Same thing, when you die, there's nothing else. And that's another half-assed truth, because when you die, when your physical body dies, it dies. Your human body, done deal, gone. You're not taking your human body to spirit world. It's a done deal. And I don't mean that to be harsh or cold, but it's a truth, and it's an undeniable truth. You cannot deny that you cannot take your human body with you, and that's truth. And there's no line in the sand there. But the arguments that we have, and the fight that we have about soul and spirit and all of that connection, is the thing. It's non-physical proof. So there's no real known proof. But from experience, and from what I've experienced, and the spirits and souls that I see with my eyes, I have a truth that I cannot deny. It doesn't mean it's everyone else's truth. It means it's my truth. And it's hard to convince me it's not true, because I've had too many experiences, and I know this to be so true about me and my connection and how I've seen myself and other parts of me. And so I feed and fuel that sense of not letting any other versions or how I've been judged or criticized, and those emotions, to have ownership over my ability to connect to my higher self, to rise myself up, to stand tall in who I am, and to be able to know my truth. And that's how we go about our lives. Knowing that, I'm not saying I couldn't be wrong. Maybe I am. And I'm not arguing it with anyone anymore. I have no desire. I don't have any desire for it to be probed and prodded or judged, or to be put in any interview where people try to challenge me, or to be put in sessions where people try to, you guess what I am. No, thank you. And that's what you have to really, get clear within you. I could be wrong, and I'm going to listen, and I'm always listening. And believe it or not, I'm somebody who listens to sermons and preachers and everybody who kind of has the judgment of my kind of belief. And then I hear that we're speaking the same story in a different way. And I'm like, it's amazing. I can open my mind and my heart and listen to them and really connect to the power that we're all saying the same thing, but instantly they want to shut me down. And that's, and I'm like, I send them nothing but love, that I hope someday their hearts open and their eyes open, and they open and connect to that we're all of the one. And that's kind of how, when you make that peace. So the loving energy of looking into the eye of what we're speaking about all the way back in the beginning is about allowing ourselves to use the higher conscious, the good part, the right part of the ego that is innate to us. And that is the super ego of doing the right things for the right reason, of being open and compassionate and caring and kind, and knowing the power of our virtuous self, and to know our virtues versus our vices, so the good and the bad behavior, and to be able to connect, and to not to let things like guilt override our faith in us and our belief in us, and just knowing. And so that's kind of like, I always say, it's an insult to believe that you do not have faith in us everyday people to tell us the truth and trust that we can make our own judgments and decide for ourselves on what is right for us. Instead, I will trap you. I'll make you look like the villain, and I will make you look like this. I will guilt you into it. And that's exactly, we're burning guilt in here. And this is like, don't guilt me into a belief. Tell me all the truth and let me decide for myself. And we're forever yearning for that. But in return, we don't do it ourselves. So if you want it, you got to practice what you preach, and you got to practice it. Practice what you preach within you. That's the story behind all of More Than Existing. It's about taking ownership and responsibility for your life. It's that journey of being able to look into the eye, to be able to see. And this, yes, this is my book, Corrie Thorne, and it is available on Amazon.ca.com, Balboa Press, Barnes and Noble. And, you know, it's that whole sense of, you know, own who you are enough to have confidence, the strength and the grounding and the just knowing that you can be open to listening, but also that you have the integrity and show dignity for all of humanity, to show all, open your books, right? Open up that energy, open up that truth, and just say, this is what we're facing. This is where we are. This is what we should have done 10, 20 years ago, but we didn't do it and it wasn't done, but we can't go back to the past. This has given us an opportunity to really look at what's not working, what could work. We need your cooperation. We need your help. And the more that can cooperate and the more that can help, imagine how different our world would be. That is what we call emotional and spiritual maturity. And we have to bring that into us first. And that's coming up huge for us. And then we have the 4 of Autumn. And this is about the management of our resources wisely. And what they're telling us, the resources that's within us, using our energy and our wisdom and our knowledge, and using all those parts of us right now in autumn at the time of change to be able to say, where can we let things die? When, you know, what can we start to let die? What can we bring to life? And what seeds do we need to plant to be the change that we need to see? And it also speaks about that level of compassion that we're speaking of into that eye, to be able to help each other, to be there for each other, to be the support for each other, to be present in each other's life. And that's huge today in this energy. What I'm getting, what I'm picking, I'm a channel, remember. So what I'm getting, what I'm picking up, what's coming through is that we are here today to start to feed the light. Today's energy is about love and light. Let's light up the world with love and light. Let's just beam that shit out as if we are all Care Bears. And if we all became Care Bears and we all beam that beautiful love and light out into the world, and that means with our ability to say, you know what, I love you enough to tell you the truth. I love you enough to tell you my truth. It doesn't mean my truth is right. It just means I got it. I got something to share. And if I got something to share that can be of value, and I'm not projecting it in a nasty, angry way without judgment or pointing fingers or digging fingers into people's chests and pushing people back, and just saying, we're here to be this love and kindness for each other. And it's time for us to do this now. We don't have, tomorrow is not guaranteed. We don't have tomorrow. We got today to start this. We got our todays to start making it. And we got our today to start to really take that deeper look into ourselves and look deeper into our story, deeper into our why, and to close your eyes and let your third eye start to show you something different, and to get out of our head, get out of those thoughts of what we think people should do and what we think the world should look like and what we think everyone should think like and what we think, and because that is detrimental. We have to get to our hearts and start to feel this presence on how we are all affected by the energy and how we're so affected by the fact that what we are doing. And I heard a story the other day about where the community I'm living in, where a convenience store literally has to consider closing at lunchtime because not all, but this is how the story spreads, right? This is how we don't get, not all of the group of teenagers are causing severe problems and emotionally, abusing the people in the store and being destructive and stealing, but it is but it's teenagers from a school that are doing, that are behaving and reacting and responding this way. And I'm like, and so when it was brought up, and I was reading, I don't comment on this stuff, but not in this group, but I'm like, okay, first of all, it is not all. So I read the story, I don't comment, and then I look at the whole picture. It's not all, it's a selective number. So considering the number of children probably in the school compared to the number of children or the number of teenagers doing this, then it's probably this small compared to this big, right? So right now, so this small to this big. Now the behavior is unacceptable. It is not acceptable, not by an adult, not by a teenager, not by a small child. Nobody. Dignity. Draw the line there. No excuses for that behavior. Zero. We don't, be honest with ourselves. How would you feel if you were in that experience and you were on the other side of that counter and that was happening? Right? So we draw the line. It's not acceptable, but it doesn't mean that they are like, why are they reacting and responding that way? And where's this coming from? And what else is happening? Are they witnessing and experiencing a world where the adults are forgetting to be an adult? And they're seeing adults act like it and they're mimicking the energy, because kids very much connect to energy. Or is this something else? Is there something more? And how can the community help out the store instead of the store having to close? And I think that's the way, we can look at things in a bigger scope and in a bigger way. How can we help out? And that was kind of where the community went. And it was so good to see. They're like, how can we help? How can we all help out? The school, the children, how can we help out? How can we make this better? How can we change this story? How can we, and then, of course, there's judgment in there too. Don't get me wrong. But there was a few people who walked past the I, the we, the judgment, the criticism, who stood tall and said, we are the adults and we have to really look at this in a different way. How do we look at this? And the person bringing it up was only bringing it up. How can we help out a store in our community? And so that's kind of bring that now. So bring that into you, right? And I would say, bring the big things into you. If you want the world to be different, you have to be different within you. You have to do the changes inside of you that when you see that behavior and action, you go, I can't believe that happens. I can't believe people treat people that way. Really? Do you treat yourself that way? And do you treat anyone else that way? Whether it's keyboard warrior, sorry, trying to get the card off the floor, whether it's keyboard warrior or whether it is in person, whether it is over the phone, over a text, a partner, a relationship, your own kids or your own parents, wherever it is. So, it's knowing that we all deserve to be treated with that, with with dignity. Couldn't get that out. And the last card that fell to the floor is justice. And, when it's like justice is being served, or what's justice for us? And it's like, is justice really being served by just telling everybody to shut up? Or, it's like, just shut it down, just label people, just cut people out, just cut people off. No, that doesn't do justice to you or to anyone else. And so within ourselves, it is time to really start to take review, start to look at things in the way of saying, look at things and review things very carefully, get all the details, know all the details, and what can be the win? What is a win-win situation? Is there a win-win situation? How can we be fair and how can we be objective? And, that's where we start to open up to healthy conversations, how we start to be of service to ourselves. And that means doing this within you. Am I doing justice to myself by my own behavior and how I speak to myself, or how I'm connecting to myself, and that's looking into the eye of love. And so treat yourself fairly, be kind to yourself, treat yourself with the same dignity and respect that you would anyone else, and do the same thing outward. When you're truly honoring you and treating yourself as if you're in a beautiful, healthy relationship, it's amazing how many more healthy relationships you will be in your life. And that's the truth. And there's not a time that we all don't have a moment where we put out a message blah, blah, blah. And then you go delete. It's like you read it back to yourself and you think, where did I just get into that? And how did I just get into that? And to just know that there's just so much more that can be accomplished from that place of the gentleness, the kindness, and that divine feminine energy that we're trying to raise, that we're not trying, that they're bringing forth, and that is raising up more and more. And it's not, and we all masculine, feminine, we all have both energies within us. And it's just that ability to nurture. But what are we nurturing? And are we nurturing the insecurities and the fear, or are we finally ready to start nurturing honesty, like a loving honesty within ourselves, to nurture that ability to just be able to sit back, rest, to be able to sit to a table, to be able to enjoy a meal, a moment, to slow down, to be able to breathe into ourselves, breathe into our families, breathe into and put the effort and the work into self. And it's the King of Autumn that's ending out this. And this card brings forth that compassion, accomplished, charismatic, and the gifted. And the be assertive when it comes to what you know is right. And that's the healthy sense of the ego. And assertiveness does not mean aggressive. Remember that. Assertive does not mean aggressive. Everything is going your way, whether you want it or not. It's like, so it's the way that is of our design, of our journey here up on earth. And it's like, that's not what I wanted. Well, if a door closes, or something shuts down, or somebody walks away in a relationship, whatever it is, and you're like, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I had planned. Well, it was going the way it was. Everything was still going your way. You might not have wanted it, but you may have been trying to control something, but it meant it was time for it to go, so that you can say thank you. So this is also Thanksgiving energy. And to be able to say that, thank you for the door closing. Thank you for walking away. Thank you for ignoring me. Thank you for what you did to be not nice to me, to be unkind, because you really taught me about how to be kind to myself. So through the eyes of somebody I've seen as an enemy, as an eye through somebody who I thought was being mean or cruel, I started to see, oh my God, where I do that. And how do I do that? And where am I doing that? And so recognizing that when you start to become a good person to you, when you become a good person in the world, and I know this has probably been on repeat 1,000 times. I don't rewatch my videos, just so you know. I don't watch them back, so I don't know. And that, then you start to keep good company. When you start to keep good company with the parts of you that are not really the shadowed out parts, when you stop being the enemy, you stop being the asshole within yourself, you stop being the villain, you stop being the martyr, that's there for, to make sure everybody knows that you're the first one there and that you're the only one who does everything. When you stop being all that, and you stop being the know-it-all, and you stop being the aggressor and the anger, it's amazing the difference that happens. You can be aggressively go after what you want. You can aggressively step into your truth, into your life, without ever harming another, without ever, because when you understand the power of unconditioned love, it's amazing. You're not stepping on someone else's toes. You're not being this way or that way. But if somebody else is kind of taking offense that you're thriving or you're doing well in life, that's not your problem. And if they're making up stories that are, half-assed truth, well, then that's their story. And you have to accept that somebody else has a story of you. You have to accept that that's their version of their story. It doesn't mean it's true for you, but it's theirs. But you don't have to accept the abuse, the deformation of character. You don't have to accept those things. And that's the difference. Final card coming from my cards. And this is the Eye of the Storm. This is Serenity. And when I speak of my cards, it's the pride that I'm starting to find in my own work, to acknowledge the work. Now, I'm not the artist. That is Amelia Richard, who is the artist. I channeled the cards, and my drawings don't look quite like these, trust me. And this is the Eye of the Storm, and it's Serenity. And she's not in the storm, and the storm's past, and it's the rainbow. It's It's the unicorn energy. It's the fact of just knowing that when we hold ourselves and we ground and root, and just knowing that something better is coming, something more is coming, that there's still, you know, to hold that faith and the believing in that magic, is that there is, you know, there's something or somebody or an opportunity that's coming into change, to be a part of the change of the tides and the change of the tides of the energy. And that's where we are. We are changing the tides. The energy is shifting, and it may take more months. It may take months. It may take another whole season, might take 2 seasons, and it's in that divine timing. But there is change that is in the works, and there is no going back to the way things were. We can't stay in the old, but there's a lot to be learned and a lot to be gained, and a lot of things where we can be upstanding and honest and just say, this is, you know, maybe I have been resistant, maybe I have been this, maybe I have been that, and I'm so sorry that I turned this way or that I became this way. Speak to yourself that way in the mirror first, and then when you do, then you have the courage to start speaking it to everyone else that is also around you who are worthy of that. And I hope that somehow serves you. I hope this works for you. It works in your energy this week, that it plays well with you. As for, you know, my monthly readings, I'm trying to decide if I'm going back to them, if I'm not. The monthly zodiacs, I would love feedback on whether or not you would like to have those back again. I have to save my voice, so I have to be very selective over what I do and how I do my work from now on, because of throat issues that are happening in speaking a lot, and you know, and I have other endeavors that are on the go. So that's my honesty. And that's just knowing that, you know, I want to give my all to the places where I can and still be able to give out the free stuff. But I also have a lot of paid things that are also in the that's within our school. That is a shared joint place that we work from. That is More Than Existing, Academy of Higher Consciousness, where I love to share space and an opening for people who are working in this industry and doing this work, where we share space and we share wisdom and knowledge, and in a non-competitive way, but a very open and sharing way, that we have so many programs in there that may be of service to you. Also, if you're on my Facebook page or you go to my website, CorrieThorne.com, that you will actually see that this coming Friday, I am doing an intuitive guidance and mediumship reading. That's a live event in Zoom, so you can sign up for that as well. And there is the power of prayer that's on sale right now for 50% off. And there's all kinds of free stuff still. And I just did a live this morning on Facebook. You can go check that out. And of course, thank you for watching these YouTubes. Please subscribe. Please subscribe, hit the notification button to make sure that you get all the updates. And I will be coming back into my other YouTube channel as well, which is my podcast channel. And I'm hoping to get back into there this week as well, just kind of getting over my own cold. But thank you for being with me. Thank you for always joining me. And like I said, you can also purchase my book, More Than Existing, which is on Amazon. You can go to my website, CorrieThorne.com. Every link that you could ever want for anything that I offer, or to get into our school, go to CorrieThorne.com, CORRIE, Thorne, THORNE.com, and everything is there. But it's Amazon, CA, Amazon.com, Balboa Press, and Barnes & Noble. And you can also download it for the downloadable copies as well. So, and it's in the hardcover like this, and it's also in the paperback. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Much love. Thank you for the support, and thank you for being with me throughout this video. Much love. Bye-bye.